Nathan Cole wrapped both arms around Maya Brooks and pulled her out of the flame seconds before the staircase collapsed behind them. That was the night his story began, or so everyone thought. They were wrong. That was the night it ended, and a different one started, one nobody else would understand until far too late. 3 months earlier, Nathan had been the kind of billionaire people whispered about without truly knowing him. Self-made. Quiet about his money in a way that made people suspicious at first, until the suspicion wasn't necessary. He paid hospital bills for employees he barely knew. He covered tuition for kids whose names he never mentioned, not even to Maya. He didn't need credit. He needed to know something else. Something that gnawed at him in the back of every conversation, every gift, every late night when Maya fell asleep in his arms and he stared at the ceiling instead of sleeping. Would she still love me if I lost everything? It wasn't insecurity. It was something colder, learned from watching his father stripped of his company by people who'd smiled at him for 20 years before the smiles disappeared with the money. Nathan had built coal industries from nothing, so that question would never matter. And yet it sat there uninvited every single day. Maya never asked for the mansion. She came from Ashford Heights, a neighborhood Nathan had driven through exactly once before he met her, the kind of place where the streetlights flickered and nobody called a city to fix them. She knew what it meant to count change at a grocery store. She knew what it meant to want more and be told that wanting more wasn't her place. Nathan gave her everything specifically because nobody else ever had. Her mother, Denise, never pulled back. Denise leaned in harder the wealthier Nathan became, dropping comments at dinner about diamond brands and vacation homes like she was reading from a script only she could see. "You landed good, baby," Denise told her once, refilling her wine without asking. "Don't you dare mess this up." The night of the fire started ordinary. Nathan was finishing calls downstairs. Maya was upstairs going through old boxes she'd never fully unpacked. Photographs of her father who died when she was 9. A few documents she kept meaning to scan and never had. The smoke detector screamed first. The smell came second, sharp and chemical. Crawling up the east staircase from a wiring fault, the inspection report would later blame on contractors who'd cut corners 2 renovations ago. Nathan was already moving before he understood why. He took the stairs 2 at a time, heat rolling toward him in a wave solid enough to push against, and found Maya frozen in the hallway, coughing, disoriented, just standing there the way people stand when their bodies haven't caught up to the danger yet. He didn't think. He grabbed her and ran. Outside on the lawn, sirens closing in, Maya gasped his name and grabbed his shirt like she needed proof he was real. Nathan let himself believe the question had already been answered. She loved him. Then she remembered the hard drive. "My dad's pictures," she said, turning toward the house. "Nathan, everything's in there. I never backed him up." He saw her start to move toward the door herself. That was the only reason he went back in. The firefighters hadn't arrived yet. The east wing was already half consumed. Smoke so thick the hallway lights were just dim orange smears. Nathan found the drive exactly where she said it would be, and he was 3 steps from the door when the ceiling gave way without warning. No creak, no groan, just collapse, 100 pounds of burning beam dropping across his lower back and pinning him to the floor in a position his body would spend the next 6 months trying and failing to forget. He didn't lose consciousness immediately. He lay there listening to his own house die around him, the drive still clenched in his fist, thinking with strange calm that this was either how he died or how everything changed. It was the second one. Firefighters pulled him out 14 minutes later. He would later tell almost no one it felt much closer to forever. The hospital lights were the first thing he remembered clearly, a flat white nothing that gave no information about how bad things actually were. Maya was there when he opened his eyes, her hand wrapped so tightly around his that he could feel his own pulse in her grip. She said his name over and over like a word that needed repeating to stay true. The doctor used careful language. Compression fracture. Spinal trauma. Temporary, most likely, though most likely gave no comfort. One sentence kept circling back, louder than the medical terms. This is it. This is the test I never had to design. Life designed it for me. He didn't decide that night. He decided 3 nights later, alone in a private room, staring at legs that wouldn't move and a phone full of bored messages he no longer had the energy to fake interest in. Nathan picked up the phone and called Patricia Hale, the attorney who had handled his father's affairs, and never once repeated something he asked her to keep quiet. "I need you to do something," he said, "and I need you to never ask me why." Patricia, who had buried better men's secrets than this one, asked when he wanted to start. "Tonight," Nathan said. "Tell them the company's in trouble. Tell them the accident is worse than it looks. Just make sure Maya hears it before anyone tells her otherwise." He hung up before Patricia could ask the question underneath all of it, the one he wasn't ready to answer, not even to himself. Would she still love me if I lost everything? He was finally going to find out. 2 weeks later, Nathan came home to a house that no longer smelled like smoke, but still felt like one wrong breath could collapse it again. The east wing was sealed off behind plastic sheeting and warning tape. He was wheeled to the front door by a physical therapist named Marcus, who talked too much and meant well, and the first face Nathan saw waiting in the foyer wasn't Maya's. It was Naomi's. She'd worked for the Cole household for 11 months, hired quietly through an agency, the kind of employee wealthy people forget has a life outside their walls. Naomi Reyes was 26, sharp-eyed, the daughter of a nurse, raised to notice things other people walked past. She noticed when Nathan flinched moving from the wheelchair to the couch and said nothing about it, just adjusted the cushion before he asked. She noticed Maya hadn't come downstairs to greet him. "Welcome home, Mr. Cole," Naomi said, and there was something steady in her voice that Nathan hadn't heard directed at him in weeks. Everyone else spoke to him like he was already gone. Naomi spoke to him like he was still there. "Where's Maya?" he asked. "On a call. She said she'd be down soon." Soon took 40 minutes. Nathan spent them watching Naomi work, refilling water, adjusting the blinds against the afternoon glare she somehow knew bothered his eyes, asking nothing of him in return. He'd paid her salary for almost a year and realized, with quiet discomfort, that he knew almost nothing about her. That night, Patricia Hale's call landed exactly as planned. Maya found Nathan in his study, staring at a laptop screen, his face arranged into something between exhaustion and dread. "The insurance company is fighting the claim," he said, not looking up. "Patricia thinks they'll drag it out a year, maybe longer. And 2 investors pulled out of the Legos deal this morning. They don't want their names attached to a company whose CEO can't walk into a boardroom." Maya sat down slowly. "How bad? Bad," Nathan said, and let the silence do the rest of the lying for him. She didn't ask follow-up questions that night. She held his hand and told him they'd figure out together, and for 3 days, she meant it completely. She helped him into the shower chair. She sat through physical therapy sessions, taking notes Marcus didn't ask for. She canceled a spa weekend with her friend Renee without being asked. Month 1, Naomi watched Maya become someone Nathan might have actually deserved. Then Denise called. "I saw the news," her mother said, voice tight with something that wasn't concern. "Coal industry stock." "Maya, baby, what's going on over there?" "It's temporary," Maya said. "He's recovering." Recovering into what? A man in a wheelchair with an empty bank account? You didn't sign up to be a nurse. "Mom, I'm just saying what everyone's thinking." Maya hung up irritated, not convinced. Not yet. But the seed was planted the way seeds always are, quietly, in soil that already had cracks in it. By month 2, the cracks widened. Renee stopped by for coffee and spent 40 minutes talking about a new restaurant downtown, a place Maya used to go before Nathan, before bills became something whispered about instead of ignored. Renee's eyes drifted to the modest cardigan Maya was wearing, the one she'd had since college, worn now because the dry cleaner for her good clothes hadn't been paid. "You look tired," Renee said, which Maya understood to mean something else entirely. Nathan watched all of it from the periphery of his own collapsing world, propped in his wheelchair by the window, pretending to read reports that were, in fact, completely fabricated by Patricia's office to maintain the illusion. He watched Maya's shoulders curl inward a little more each week. He watched her phone buzz with messages from her mother that she no longer read aloud to him. He told himself this was the price of knowing the truth. Naomi told him something different, quietly, while changing the dressing on a wound that still hadn't fully closed. "You know this isn't fair to her," she said, not looking up from the bandage. "What isn't fair?" "Letting her think the worst is happening when you know it isn't." Naomi's hands didn't pause. "I see what you're doing, Mr. Cole." I empty the trash. I see Patricia's real letterhead under the fake one she leave for Maya to find. Nathan said nothing for a long moment. "And what do you think I should do?" "I think you should ask yourself why you needed a lie to find out who loves you," Naomi said. "Real love doesn't usually require a trap to prove itself." It was the first time anyone had said it to his face, and it landed harder than Patricia's fabricated letters ever could. Nathan didn't answer. He watched her finish the dressing, gentle and precise, and wondered why the person taking the best care of him in this house wasn't the one wearing his ring. Maya found out about a missed mortgage payment by month two's end, a payment that Tricia deliberately let lapse to sell the collapse further. The bank called the house directly. Maya took the call standing in the kitchen, knuckles white around the phone, and when she hung up she didn't cry. She just stood there a long time, staring at nothing, recalculating a future she'd assumed was guaranteed. That night, she didn't help him into bed. She said she had a headache and went to her sister's place instead. The first night in 2 years she'd slept somewhere that wasn't beside him. Nathan lay awake in the dark, alone except for the quiet sound of Naomi locking up downstairs, and felt something in his chest that wasn't quite grief yet, but was getting close. He'd built this test to find an answer. He hadn't fully accounted for how much the asking would cost him. By month 4, Maya had stopped pretending the marriage she planned was the future she still wanted. She met Derek Whitfield at a charity gala Renee dragged her to, the kind of event Maya used to attend on Nathan's arm before his arm became something attached to a wheelchair. Derek wore a watch that cost more than most people's cars and talked about his import logistics empire with the practiced ease of a man who'd said the phrase 1,000 times to 1,000 women. He was not, in fact, a billionaire. Derek Whitfield was 3 months behind on a leased Mercedes and 4 credit cards deep, a fact that would not surface until much later, and only because Naomi, suspicious of his easy smile, had quietly asked Patricia to run his name. But in month 4, Maya didn't know any of that. She only knew Derek looked at her like a woman, not a caretaker, and that felt like oxygen after a year of holding her breath. By month 5, she was seeing him in places Renee covered for. By month 6, Nathan knew, not because he spied, but because Naomi told him, voice flat with something between anger and grief on his behalf. She's not even hiding it well. Naomi said, I think part of her wants you to find out. Nathan sat with that for a long time before he answered. Maybe part of her wants permission to stop. That's generous of you. It's not generous. It's just true. He looked at his hands, steadier now after months of therapy he no longer entirely needed but hadn't told anyone about. I built a cage and called it a test, Naomi. I don't get to be angry that something flew out of it. Naomi didn't argue. She just sat with him, the way she always did, not performing comfort, simply present. And Nathan understood in that moment that the question he'd spent a year trying to answer had quietly answered itself weeks ago, just not in the direction he'd expected. The worst scene came in month 7. Nathan, exhausted from a late session with Marcus, lost his balance transferring from the wheelchair to the bed and went down hard, his hip striking the nightstand on the way. Maya was home that night, getting ready in the mirror for a girls' dinner. That was, everyone in the house knew, dinner with Derek. She heard the fall. She looked through the cracked door. She kept applying her lipstick and left 11 minutes later, without checking on him. Naomi found him on the floor, jaw tight with pain. He refused a name and didn't ask questions. She got him upright, cleaned a gash above his eyebrow, and stayed on the floor beside him long after the bleeding stopped, simply because leaving felt wrong. "I saw her," Nathan said quietly. "Through the door." "I know," Naomi said. "I saw her too." Neither of them said anything else. They didn't need to. Maya filed for what she called a trial separation in month 8. Nathan signed the paperwork without resistance, without lawyers fighting over assets, which surprised Patricia and infuriated Maya's mother, who'd been counting on a payout that never materialized because Nathan, even mid-test, had never once stopped being decent about the things that mattered. By month 9, Maya had moved in with Derek. By month 10, she was wearing his ring, smaller than the one Nathan had given her. Though she told Renee it was more meaningful, actually, a sentence she said with a specific defensiveness of someone who didn't believe it. The wedding was set for a Saturday in early spring, an estate venue Derek couldn't actually afford, financed in ways that would unravel publicly before the night was over. Nathan wasn't invited. He came anyway. He walked into the back of the reception hall on legs that had fully healed months earlier, something he kept quiet the same way he kept the money quiet. In a tailored navy suit, Naomi beside him in green. Not as staff, not anymore, but as the woman who'd stayed when staying cost her nothing to gain and everything to risk. The room noticed him before Maya did. Conversation died in a slow wave moving toward the head table. Maya turned, champagne glass halfway to her lips, and the color left her face entirely. "You're walking," she said, the words barely audible, almost a whisper. "I have been for a while now," Nathan said. Derek, sensing the temperature of the room shift, made the mistake of standing and announcing himself. "I don't know who you are, but this is a private." "Derek Whitfield," Nathan said, not raising his voice. "Behind on a leased Mercedes. 4 cards maxed. The logistics empire is a single rented office in Tampa with no employees." He let that sit. "I had someone check. The way Maya should have checked on me. The night I fell on my bedroom floor, and she finished her lipstick instead." The silence afterward had weight. Maya's mother, Denise, somewhere near the bar, said nothing for possibly the first time in her life. Nathan didn't gloat. He didn't need to. He turned, took Naomi's hand, the gesture small but unmistakable, and walked back out the way he'd come, leaving behind a fiancé exposed as fraud, a fortune that had never actually disappeared, and a woman who traded a real billionaire for a fake one, because she couldn't tell the difference between love and comfort. 6 months later, Nathan married Naomi in a quiet ceremony with no press, no spectacle, no curated guest list designed to impress anyone watching. Just the people who'd actually shown up when it counted. She wore no diamonds. She didn't need them. The test had cost him a year of his life, and nearly his decency along with it. But it had also shown him, finally, who'd been standing beside him the whole time, long before he ever needed proof.